members to 10, the Entrepreneurs Network. I trust you all are comfortable and ready to begin today's meeting. I'm Rahul Amrute, Chairman, shouldering the responsibility of the current tenure. In my task, I'm ably supported by Manoj Tehliani, the Secretary, Mangesh Patole, the Relationship Manager, and Ram Kumar, who takes care of our social media. 10th Entrepreneurs Network is a not-for-profit organization. The single-minded focus of 10 is to help entrepreneurs from different business fields to come together and succeed. To know more about 10, I would kindly request Mangesh to play the small AV. Yes, Mangesh.
Thane, Maharashtra's major industrial town, fastest growing and slated to be the most happening commercial hub. Over the last decade, Thane has grown from a small suburban town to a large, self-sustaining metropolis. Proximity to the financial capital of the country has extended ample opportunities to Thane for becoming the richest district in Maharashtra, with potent factors like well-planned infrastructure and low cost of operation. With growing opportunities and upcoming business ventures comes the growing need for business networking to learn, to explore, to connect, and to share avenues for mutual growth. Welcome to the Entrepreneurs Network, popularly known as 10. Established in 2010 with the intent of providing a platform for entrepreneurs to share their experience, to learn, and to educate fellow entrepreneurs, along with generating business opportunities for mutual growth. Our motto: connect, breakthrough, and prosper.
In 2009, basically I was totally confined to the four walls of my own retail outlet. Probably that time I was feeling the need to get out of that those binded four walls. So there was a business networking group. I joined that, and after 1.5 years, basically there was some disconnect with that particular group. So we wanted to start something which was more Indianized. We wanted to do something to build a community of entrepreneurs. And in 2010, we started this 10 Entrepreneurs Network.
10 is a close-knit community of different business verticals across industries.
10 ने मुझे अभी जो फ़ायदा मिला है, काफ़ी फ़ायदा मिला है. बिजनेस अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ भी मुझे काफ़ी मिली है 2009 से. ग्रोथ काफ़ी हुआ है.
I love 10 as a network because it is very different from the other business networks what you see. And it has helped me a lot in my overall development for my business, for my relations.
And what I found, people around us are all wanted to grow in their business and help the society around. And I am so happy to join the 10.
After coming here, I found a different friendship, a different support system.
10 members contribute connections, ideas, and time to help 10 grow. Members are rewarded with training workshops, insights, network, and camaraderie offered by other like-minded entrepreneurs. They meet alternate Wednesdays from 7:15 a.m. to 9:45 a.m.
What I liked about 10 is more of a kind of a learning platform. So I learned a lot from 10 through different sessions, different workshops.
What I like about 10 is core functionality, which is continuous learning for entrepreneurs. That is, we can say it is a core function of 10 on which it operates.
10 has been extremely beneficial to me in enhancing my personality and making me equipped to face the challenges as an entrepreneur.
Connecting, breakthrough, and prosper, which is the mantra of 10, is something which I was seeking for in my business career.
10 conducts activities such as 10 Connect session, open minds, outdoor meetings, and annual conclave. 10 Connect session provides a robust platform to its members for learning and sharing experiences, one-on-one interaction, apart from addresses by internal and esteemed guest speakers. 10 Engagement also extends to events such as open minds, where established entrepreneurs and business owners are invited to share their life lessons and growth stories while interacting with live audience. It's an event that Thaneites eagerly wait for. Outdoor meetings are fun coupled with learning. It aims at increasing member bonding and interactions beyond regular meetings. It includes site visits, visiting fellow members' workplace, and short outings which are extremely high on fun quotient.
Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, they are exactly following that. That really brings me to here.
Since inception, 10 members have transacted more than 275 crores of business with its members and connects beyond 10. As we move ahead in this path of connecting for mutual growth, we look forward to more heads, more hands, and more hearts to come together. We welcome you to attend the 10 Connect session, to experience entrepreneurial energy, creativity, and motivation.
Let's give our classic 10 clap to 10, which goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 twice.
10. The Entrepreneurs Network. Connect, breakthrough, prosper.
Yeah. Yeah, Mangesh. Thank you. Yeah, there was a call, so I just disconnected it. Before we begin for today's agenda, I would like to make a small announcement. We are delighted to have a new member in our 10 family. He's a new member. We are inducting him today. His name is Mr. Pinku Panchmatia. Welcome, Pinku. He's a CA by qualification and has pursued a career in IT projects. He has more than 2 decades of experience in executing SAP, ERP, Microsoft Dynamics for APAC, Middle East and Europe region. Intellica Technologies Private Limited is a state-of-art cloud service provider headquartered in Mumbai. They are at forefront of driving digital transformation through Microsoft Dynamics 365, Office 365, Power BI, and Tata Telebusiness Services Solutions. So welcome, Pinku. Wish you all the best for your future. And just we'll take a small oath, which is a ritual at 10 when we induct a new member. So Pinku, you just have to say, I agree after I read the sentences. There are just 8 of them. So I will begin. Pinku, you are ready?
Yes, I am ready, Rahul.
Yeah, I begin now. I assure my participation in 10 meetings and events on regular basis.
I agree.
Share knowledge about my business with my fellow members to the best of my abilities.
I agree.
Learn about the businesses of other members and help them to get connected to my clients and contacts.
I agree.
Invite contacts and clients to attend the 10 weekly meetings as visitors as and when possible, with the intention to support the growth of 10 and its members.
I agree.
Follow up on the connections that my fellow members recommend and provide them with regular updates on the status.
I agree.
Provide the goods and services as per the quality and price committed.
I agree.
Will try and help the group grow in the best of my capacity.
I agree.
Last and the most important, I owe a big party to 10 members.
Anytime.
Yeah. Oh, so you didn't say I agree. Anytime. Okay.
I
so
agree.
welcome, Pinku. Yeah, welcome, Pinku. Over to Manoj now. Manoj, you can take the stage. I think Manoj is mute. Unmute.
Yeah, Manoj, go ahead.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah. Thank you, Rahul. Good morning, friends. A very good morning to each one of you. A hearty welcome to today's session. Today, our speaker, Mr. Rajeev Athavale, would like to ponder over the reasons why people tend to resist change. Mr. Rajeev Athavale is a management consultant in the space theory of constraints who teaches and helps to implement POC. In addition to conducting the training sessions, he has helped implement POC in various industries like pharma, auto spare parts, ceramics, distribution, construction, manufacturing companies, government training institutes, etc. across Mumbai, Hyderabad, Pune, Bhubaneswar, Ahmedabad, Kharagpur, etc. He is the publisher of 9 ebooks, out of which some have been translated to European languages like French, German, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and Catalan. His passion for learning, experimenting, sharing knowledge, and achieving results continues to grow. Sir, we'd like to hear from you. Mr. Rajeev.
Welcome, Mr. Rajeev.
Rajeev sir, you need to unmute yourself. Yeah.
So may I start?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Share my screen. Okay, so good morning and welcome to all of you to this first session that I'm conducting for 10. I'm thankful to 10 for inviting me for this session. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just put it in a slideshow mode, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so our today's topic is why do people resist change? We find that we know, all of us know that change is the only constant, but still the world hates change. They resist. So let us get into why this happens and see where are we as far as the resistance to change is concerned. Are you familiar with this kind of scenario that, some people are stranded somewhere, they're having some problem, and somebody they comes out with good help, good idea, good suggestion, and people simply shoot it down. Think of a situation in your organization when there was some problem that was being faced and people tried but they could not resolve it. But you did not give up. You worked hard. Worked hard on it. You are brilliant. You did a lot of study, research, experiment, and came out with a great idea. You could not keep it to yourself, so you gathered your team and told them, "Look, guys, this is what we need to do." And then, to your amazement, you find that people are you're finding holes into it. They don't agree with you, and they ask you all sorts of questions. You feel, aren't they getting what I'm saying? Even some people ask you, what is the problem that you are trying to address? This is very frustrating for you. But these kind of situations are not uncommon. This happens everywhere. So let's just see a little more about it. People resist change. Sometimes I feel that our brain is hardwired to resist the change. Let somebody propose a change and our brain resists it. Is our brain programmed for resistance, or is there some chemical problem that got created in most people's brain that whenever any change is proposed, they just resist it? How come there is so much of resistance for change? There is one hypothesis for that. People say that bigger the change, bigger the resistance. So if the magnitude of change is large, the resistance also is large. So what happens because of that? If the change is very little, small change, people might say, okay, let us accept it. Perhaps, though there would be some resistance, but bigger the change, bigger the resistance. No, we need to test this, but let us have a look at one more hypothesis, which says people examine change. They are not fools. They examine it, whatever the change that is being proposed. And if they find that it is good for them, they accept it. Otherwise, they resist it. So here we say that people look at the content of the change, not the magnitude. Now, let us test this hypothesis. Supposing a person comes to you, the person whom you trust, believe, you know that whatever he says, it does. And he tells you, look, I'm giving you $10 million, no strings attached. I'm giving you what he says, I am giving you $10 million, no strings attached. It means there's no asterisk and small print and conditions attached, nothing of that sort. No, this person is such that you know he will do what he says. What will you do? Will you resist it? You say, no, wait a minute. This is going to be a major change in your personal life, your family life, your social life. Will you resist it? Because the change is very big? Well, you may not. So this hypothesis is a question mark whether it is right or wrong. Now, the second hypothesis, people examine the change, and if it is good for them, they accept it. Simple. And if it's not good for them, they resist. No, is that also, is that really so? Then, if that is the case, if there is a win-win idea that okay, comes up, that it is good for the person who is proposing it, it is good for you. Do you think it will get sold very easily? Not really. Even win-win ideas don't sell by themselves. Look at this picture. Now these people are pulling a cart. It looks like a little heavy. And you go there with wheels. Say that, come on, you put these wheels, your life will be very easy. And the response that you get it, no thanks. We are too busy to change. So it is not always that people examine the change, or they want to examine it, but it is not communicated correctly. Now, in this situation, okay, we need to understand why these win-win ideas don't sell by themselves. See, you have come up with a great idea and you think that, yes, this is the thing, this solves all the problems that we are facing. It is good for everybody. It is good for your company. It is good for employees. It is good for customers. And still people are not accepting it. Why? The first reason is that people may not know that it is really win for them because it is not properly communicated with them. People think, okay, maybe, but I don't think it will help me. People are worried that this idea, the change seems to be good, but it may fail. And what if it fails? We are going to suffer a lot out of it. So then they might not accept the change. People might believe this change will not stick around. So we introduce a change, I start doing it doing our regular things in a different way, and then after some time we fall back to the old way. So if they're afraid that this might happen with this change, and if that is the case, so why would they waste their time and energy? They would rather keep it reserved for something which is really worthwhile for them. So again, they may not accept your win-win idea. People are afraid that the change may have some unknown ramifications. Well, the presenter has given us a very good picture. It's a goody thing, but we don't know. There could be a snake in the grass. So how do we know? So we are not very sure. So then in that case, the win-win idea doesn't get accepted. And then when you introduce a change, it could mean that there are some risks associated with those change. And if those risks are not openly discussed, then people fear that there could be some risk that, in the change, and that they are not willing to take any risk, the unknown risk. Why would they take it? So even if your idea that you have come up with, the proposal that you have come up with, that we should do it this way so that this will improve and all that, still, even if it is great for the people, for these reasons, 5 reasons, people may not accept it. So why do we want to introduce a change? See, every time, everywhere, when you try to introduce a change, there is a resistance. On a lighter side, I would give you an example. You have a 3 or 4 years old daughter, and you usually play with her hide and seek, and her usual place of hiding is behind the sofa. Now, for the sake of change, she wants to hide inside the refrigerator. You will resist it like anything, right? Or if she wants to imitate her mama and do something on the gas stove, she is going to resist it. You propose any change, anything new, any different way, even the smallest thing that you want to change your newspaper. Well, your family members, somebody will resist it. So if the change is so bad that nobody likes it, the world hates it, why do we want to introduce a change at all? There are two main reasons that we know it intuitively, but I'm just bringing it to your notice. The first reason is we want to solve a problem in the current situation. In your company, there could be some financial loss, or there could be a drop in profit, or your competition is doing better and they are creating problems for you. You are losing your market share, the industry is in recession, and so many things. So there are problems in the current situation. So you want to introduce a change and overcome the problem and continue to do better and better. This is one reason for which we want to introduce a change. The second reason is that you look at the future. Very few people have this vision of the future. So they look at it and they smell some great opportunity for you, for your company. So they want to seize that opportunity by being very proactive and move towards that. So they want to take that opportunity, or there may not be any opportunity, but there could be a possible threat for your company by which you might lose your business. Or there could be some new technology coming in and the person is curious and he has studied it and he feels that it could be great for the future of your company. So he wants to introduce that change. So what are the two reasons? One is that we want to solve a problem in the current situation, or we want to improve our future. So for these two reasons, we want to introduce the change. Despite that, there is a resistance everywhere. So when you introduce a change in your company, it comes from the top and it becomes, inevitable. What happens? What happens to the people? There is something called stages of grief. They're defined by Kubler and Ross. They are defined it for death actually, but this applies for change management also. What happens when a change is introduced in an organization? The first reaction is a shock, a surprise. It may shock sounds a bit negative. It may not be, a reaction may not be that negative, but it is a shock, it is a shock. It is a surprise also. And when it is a surprise, the person doesn't know what to do, how to react. So this is the first thing, is that when it changes suddenly introduced to you, it is a shock. Then what happens? You think a bit about it and think that it could mean some change, something difficult for us. So there is a denial. I don't want to do this. I don't believe that it is going to help it. And where is the evidence? How can you say this is going to help it? That is kind of denial that happens. I just want to give you a very small example of the change that I personally resisted. I resisted it. So I always like to give my own example because I know they are true, and probably you also might be able to relate with them. I'm talking about a time where at that time PCs were new. There was a PC and PC XT, and then PC 80 came. Then there was a 286, and then 386 got introduced in the market. And in my company, in my department, we didn't have the luxury of having a terminal or PC at our desk. There was a mini computer and we used to share the time. But we have started giving PCs to people. Now, my department has bought three machines of 386. That was the latest at that point of time. And I was the one of them who was given it on my table. I felt happy. I felt proud. Yeah, good, great. I've been given that. But what happened on that day? My boss came to me and told me, Rajeev, give me your writing pad, please. I gave it to her. So she took it and started walking. I said, ma'am. She said, what? I need that pad, writing pad. I need to scribble. I write my notes, my thoughts. I said, now you have a 386 on your desk. You have a computer on your desk. Whatever you want to write, you insert it, you save it on your computer. Hereafter, you will not use your writing pad unless you are going somewhere for a meeting. If you are sitting on your desk doing some work, you want to make notes, by all means make notes, but make them on computer. I said, no, ma'am, I'm not used to do that. It will break my chain of thought, this, that. She said, it's a matter of getting used to it. Do it and then tell me. So this was a shock and then denial that came. And now looking back at it, I laugh at it. There are some many things in our life that happen. When we look back at them, we'll either laugh or we might even cry. So this was one of the things that made me laugh. Okay, come on, I was denying that. I was saying I want to use writing pad. Yeah, this is the habit, this is the comfort zone that I was not willing to leave. And then what happens when you realize that the change is inevitable, it is going to happen. You get frustrated, you feel frustrated. You understand that the things are going to be different, and then that frustration leads to some kind of anger. You feel, why my life was going on so smoothly all these days, and suddenly some change is coming, and then I have to cope with that. Why? So that anger comes in. Soon you realize that anger is not going to help you. The frustration is not going to help you. You have to adopt the change. So you get into a kind of low mode. I was not prepared for that. I had not thought about that. And suddenly this change is thrust upon me. I can't do anything about it. So you feel low, you lack energy and all that. After some time, you feel that, okay, now anyway I have to do that. Let me at least try something. Let me experiment with it. So this is the initial engagement that starts with the new thing. It's a new situation. And then once you start doing that, you realize that, well, it is not that difficult as I thought. I thought that it will be, extremely difficult, and how am I going to cope with that and all that. So you decide, no, fine, this change is not bad for me. It is not difficult. It's not that I can't do it, and this is what is required. So let me do it. So I learn how to do it. So I take that decision, I learn it, I master it, and I start enjoying that. And once I do that, the integration with the change happens. I become a new person, and I think as if this was the change that very obvious that I always wanted. You forget that you have gone through all these stages. Now, friends, this happens to all of us. May not be for every change, but for some change or the other, whether you know it or you don't know it, whether you realize it or you don't realize it, we go through these stages of shock, denial, frustration, depression, then experiment, decision, and integration. You can go down the memory lane, think of the change that you never liked, and then think of how, try to recollect how you went about accepting it. And you will realize that you had gone through this. Now, the degree of this grief could be different for different people, for different kind of changes. But by and large, we go through the changes that we had not contemplated, we have not thought of. Here at this juncture, I would like to share one video. It was given by Dr. Eliyahu Goldratt. So let us have a look at the video. It talks about resistance to change.
No one will listen. Hey, Martin, what's wrong? I've had enough of this. Every change I suggested is knocked down.
Rajeev sir, we are not able to see
Is it
the
possible
video.
to change anything around here?
Okay.
And maybe
You have to close the PPT, then you can play.
Okay, I think there is an option for new share.
Yeah. Please do that.
I think I'll have to do that perhaps. Let me see where it is. New share. Oh, are you able to see the picture now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Just play it from start.
Yeah.
No one will listen. Hey, Martin, what's wrong? I've had enough of this. Every change I suggested is knocked down. It's impossible to change anything around here.
And maybe your suggestions are no good?
That's nonsense. You know why it happens. Everybody knows. It's because people resist change. Resist.
You are wrong. I don't resist change, and neither does the average Joe. Everyone has pushed for major changes in his or her life. Many young people leave their homes, choose to get married, prefer children, and show me somebody who resists the change of a promotion at work.
Can you really fool yourself that you don't resist change?
I resist only the changes that I have a good reason to resist. The others I accept.
Baloney!
Try me.
Okay, I'm game. Making a change is like climbing a mountain. Here's one. Climb it.
Don't think so.
Haha, you see? You do resist change.
I don't resist change. I resist this particular change because I don't have a reason to climb the mountain. I don't see the plus in the change.
What's a good reason for you?
A higher salary, better health, or an improved relationship.
Okay, I'll take care of your excuse. There's a pot of gold waiting for you up there. Is that good enough? Now will you climb?
Nope.
Point proven! You most certainly resist change.
Of course I resist this change, and with good reason. See for yourself. Too much effort, too much time, too high a risk. It's perfectly logical. The minus of the change outweighs the plus of the change.
Another excuse. Fine, I'll reduce the required efforts and the risk. Now are you willing to climb?
I don't think so.
Aha! I knew it. Excuse after excuse. You remove one, another one pops up. The end result is still the same. The change is definitely good for you, and yet you still resist.
But it's not good for me. I don't want the change because I'm comfortable in my current situation.
Another excuse.
Not at all. You look at it too narrowly. No wonder people reject your suggestions.
What? I looked at both the plus and the minus sides of making a change.
Yes, but you've ignored the pluses of not changing. I like my profession. I like the city I'm in. I like my style of living. I like my mermaid. But she cannot climb the mountain with me.
You've just proved my point. Maybe you justified it logically, but at the end of the day, people will always resist change. They can simply declare that they have a mermaid, and there goes any chance of causing a change out the window.
I'm not looking for excuses, but unlike you, I'm not in love with your suggested change. I'm more objective.
Oh, so you're Mr. Objectivity, huh? The guy who only looks at the plus side of staying the same? Aren't there minuses as well?
I guess there are.
Think of situations that if things stay as they are, alligators will bite your ass off. Your firm may go bankrupt, or your spouse may ask for a divorce. Or your health will decline drastically. Aren't you fighting alligators?
Constantly.
Sometimes I feel that the people I try to convince are so busy fighting off the alligators that they should be climbing the mountain, even if there is no pot of gold waiting at the top. Still, everybody resists change, including you.
Not at all. Show me how the pot is large enough for me, and the teeth of my alligator are sharp enough, and my effort and my risk to change is not as big, and that I don't have to give up on a beautiful mermaid, then I assure you I will climb the mountain.
That's what I do, and it doesn't work.
Really? Have you ever tried to present all four sides of your suggestion? Let me ask you a more pertinent question. Did you figure out in advance what the pot is for the person you're trying to convince? Not your pot, but his or her pot. What is his or her crutch? What are the alligators and the mermaids for the other party?
I guess not.
There you go. Also, when you concentrate on one aspect and the other person concentrates on another, you are bound to miscommunicate.
Looking at all four factors and doing it from the other party's perspective sounds like a lot of preparation. Are you sure it'll pay off?
Not if you believe the people are programmed to resist change, or any change.
I guess I'll never know unless I give it a try. I'll let you know how it went.
Share your experience. Post a video on YouTube.com.
So here we are. We have seen this video. Okay, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
So this one screen is a summary of this video. That beautiful video was given by Dr. Elio Goldratt. He is the creator of theory of constraints. And what he could tell you in 4-5 minutes, I'll be taking more than an hour to explain to you. Such a great person. So this slide actually summarizes what he said. What problem we have with the change is that don't make the change that you will meet me, that is alligator. Alligator says that if you don't make a change, this alligator, there's a risk that is after you. You might get killed. Then make the change and you will lose me. We have some comfort zone. We have some set routine. We're happy with our current way of doing it. And if we accept the change, well, we'll have to do away with that. Then he says, make the change and you will risk me. So along with every change, there is a number of risks that are associated. That prevents a person from accepting it, and then he goes out to resist it. Make the change and you will get me. That is the attraction, that is at the top. But in order to reach that, what all problems are there? I will have to leave my comfort zone. I will have to take the risk. But if I don't do that, then there are some alligators that are after my blood. So what do I do? So this is a problem that it creates. So in an organization, who are the type of people or kind of people who might resist the change? Obviously, those people will certainly resist the change who stand to lose something. Now, some of them have status. And if you drastically make changes in the organization, they might stand a risk of losing that kind of status. Some of them have some authority, some standing authority or something. And now say you have automated everything and then you don't have to go and beg for signature or approval or something of that sort. Okay, if you take an example of a warehouse manager, he is like a king. Retailers are after him to give them material, and he takes a call. And now if you have implemented a new system by which the system on its own does something for which he loses that authority, and the system guides people to take a routine kind of action. So people, the person who loses on his authority is likely to resist the change. Then sometimes we get a lot of pleasure, a lot of satisfaction in doing a job in a particular way. It could be a very hard work, concentrated work. We sit for long hours. We do a wonderful job of it, and we feel satisfied. Now, because of the change that is being introduced, well, it will happen so easily. Okay, in order to give a simple example, in good old days, there were no computers in the banks. So cashier has to sit at the end of the day and tally the cash with what are receipts and payments and balance. And that is to give him a satisfaction that he could do it in one shot. Or maybe sometimes it takes a little longer. So he spends time in finding out, and then at the end of it, he's satisfied, fully satisfied that he has tallied the cash every day. After automation, after computerization, the job has gone. He doesn't have to do that manually. Simple things like withdrawing cash from the bank. Nowadays, who goes to the bank to withdraw the cash? But there was a time when you had to give the check on one counter, take a batch, wait. Then it will go for approval to the manager. Somebody will look at the ledger. find out the balance and say that, okay, here's the balance. Then he will send it to the manager for signature. He will sign. Then it will go to the cashier, and then he will call you, and then you will get the cash. Now, that kind of authority or status that all those people had it's gone with the automation. So these kind of people might resist the change. There is a threat to the security. Maybe people might fear that they might lose their jobs. If you remember in good old days, when the government decided to introduce your computation in banks and LIC and other organizations, the unions took it up and they wanted to go on strike until they got the assurance that nobody will be fired. So these are the people who stand to lose because of the change. So they will go everywhere in the organization and spread the bad word about the change. And that is how not only they will resist, but they will make others also to resist. There are, in any organization, there are two kinds of people basically. Some people are resistors, they resist the changes, and some people accept it. But there are not only two types, there are some more subtypes in that. So what are those? There are some people who are completely change averse. They will not accept any change whatsoever. They flatly refuse to accept any change. And these people are left behind in their life. You will find some old people, very old people, they're still using their cassette players. They have not accepted that change. So, every organization, there are people like this. Now, I don't want to put a rubber stamp on certain people that they are always change averse. All of us, including you and me, at times, for certain kind of changes, we are just averse to that. It is because of our upbringing or conditioning. Look at our social life or something. There was a time many years ago when law marriages were registered. Then there was a time when inter-caste or inter-religion marriages are registered. Maybe they are registered even today. So, but the same people, very same people, may be accepting some other changes. So all of us have some part of this, that for certain aspects we are change averse. But in organizations, there could be some people who just don't want to change. They say, only 2 years are left for my retirement. I don't want to do anything new. So these people are left behind. At the same time, there are some reluctant change acceptors. What does it mean? These people will never voluntarily initiate any change. They will not propose any change. The only reason why they will accept the change, they will change because everybody else is changing. They have the fear of missing out. They don't like the idea of changing it. But all their neighbors, if they have bought smart TV, they will also buy this smart TV. Whether they will use it or not in that way, they may not go for the Netflix, YouTube, nothing. But they will also buy. Only because everybody else has changed. So there are reluctant change acceptors, and these people are you and me together. For certain changes, we could be like this, whether we are aware of it or not. Then there are some conservative change acceptors. These people say that you give me a proof that this change is really good for me. See, these people will never initiate any change. They will watch how other people are doing with the change, how other companies are doing. They demand to see positive, verifiable results that the new idea has really worked. And better yet, in their own industry or their situation, then they will accept the change. See, they don't want to become guinea pigs. They don't want to suffer from the negative impact that might happen if they accept the change. So they are very conservative approach about it. And there are some ambitious change acceptors. They are highly ambitious in the sense that they are constantly looking for the next big thing. They just want to go for that, accept it, try it out. They want to be the first one in accepting the change. They want to take a lead in that. and they are eagerly waiting, they eagerly embrace the new idea. This is their by nature. So there are 4 types: completely change averse, reluctant change acceptor, conservative change acceptor, and ambitious change acceptor. Now, what is your type? What is your type? Your type, you will not be able to put yourself anywhere unless you go on an ego trip and say, no, I'm ambitious change acceptor. I accept any and every change that comes my way. Yes, you might be doing that maybe in certain domain, certain field, but may not be everywhere. At the same time, you may have all the 4 attributes in your character which you may not realize. Now, when you are working in an organization, you will have this kind of people. You will not know who is of what type for this particular change. So you can now appreciate how difficult it is to introduce any change. There's one more reason, why there's so much of resistance is that we at times, or why at times, for almost for every change, we need what we call it as a paradigm shift. Now, what is paradigm? Okay, let me quickly explain that. What is paradigm? Paradigm is the way to look at the things, how we look at them, from what angle, or with what colored glasses that we look at them. That is our paradigm. We don't believe what we see. We don't believe. We see what we believe. If we have certain beliefs, we just see that. We don't see the other things. So that is what is called paradigm. Now, what is paradigm change or shift? Is a very common and simple example. Many of you might be aware that there is a number written on the floor, 6 or 9, I don't know what it is, and 2 people are looking at it from 2 different points of view and arguing. Now, this kind of paradigms can easily be managed, but in real life, there are more difficult paradigms. Like what? Many people believe that if we want to finish our projects early or fast or in time, we must start them early. So earlier we start the projects, earlier we finish. Same thing they talk about the orders. Okay, if they are in manufacturing environment, they say that let us, as soon as the order is received, let us release the material on the shop floor. Because earlier we start, earlier we finish. This is their paradigm. Now, if somebody comes and says that if you want to finish your projects early, start them late, the whole world is shaken. They can't accept it. They can't digest it so easily. If I make a statement that you can make more money by selling your product under your product cost, they'll say, what? Come again? So I will repeat. You can make more money by selling your products at a price that is less than your product cost. You will say, this fellow has gone mad. You will not be willing to leave your paradigm unless you really take the pain, take the trouble to understand why the other person is saying so. So people will do almost anything, including killing, before they shift their paradigm. Paradigm shift is very painful because you have been doing the things in certain way for last 20 years, 25 years, or even more, and now you have some new realization and you want to shift it. You will resist. You will not accept that the new realization is true. You will say that no, this is something wrong. I don't know, but something is wrong. So this is what Dr. Goddard said, that people will do almost anything before they shift their paradigm. So this is what is required. Paradigm shift is required when you want to introduce a change. Why? Because change is something different that you are doing, right? So you are not doing something for the sake of doing it. Today I am wearing this kind of blue t-shirt. Tomorrow I wear green. That's not the change that we are talking about. We are talking about the change that we are going to do, which will move our world. So these kind of changes are very difficult to digest mainly because, we are in our comfort zone, we don't want to get out of it. So what forces people to resist change? What are the things? First of all, there is surprise and fear of unknown. You are asking me to start using computers. I've never seen that. I have this background, I have that background, and all that. Even I heard an accountant saying that I'm chemicals accountant. I can't work in. I can't become IT accountant. To that extent, there is fear of unknown, and that is actually mainly backed by the fear of failure. That if I accept the change and if I fail and everybody else succeeds, then where do I go? What do I do? So that fear of failure is always there at the back of our minds, but we rarely talk about it. Then in many organizations, there is a climate of mistrust. Employees don't believe the management. Management has no trust in in employees. So if management proposes a change, employees look at it from the angle of some doubt. Why are they doing that? At the same time, if employees propose something, it is again looked down like, there must be some ulterior motive, either of the management or of the employee. So there's a climate of mistrust. So if that is the case, people will resist change. Then, organization, sometimes I feel that there is more politics in organization than in the real politics. There are so many, these things that are going on across the organization, up and down. That there is a lot of politics, and that politics makes people to take stand, to take a position. Because typically there are different groups. So if a change has been proposed by one particular group, the opposite group says that if this change has come from this group, we are going to resist because there must be some ulterior motive for them, or they will become more powerful, or they will get promotion. So because of this kind of organizational politics, people resist the change. Then there is a peer pressure. Peer pressure is a very powerful thing. I'll give you a simple example which I witnessed. I was working with an IT software export company, and we used to recruit people in large numbers. So once I happened to meet one young boy, who had resigned, who has put in his papers. So I casually asked him, "Hey guys, I heard that you have resigned. Why are you resigning? Are you not happy working here? Do you have any problems here?" "No, the company is nice. My work was also good. I was enjoying that." "Then why are you resigning?" See, it is like this, that 5 of us joined together as a batch in this company. And out of that, 4 people have left. And they are calling me and telling me, "What are you doing there? All of us have left. Why don't you also leave?" So this is the kind of peer pressure that he felt, and that's why he found another job and left. Now, if you are in the same organization and people sitting around you are resisting a particular change, and you have in your mind that there appears to be something good about the change, but this kind of the peer pressure will force you to keep that thought aside, and you will also join them and resist it. Then another thing that many companies keep on starting some new initiatives every now and then people don't know whether those initiatives were successful or they are failures, or whether company gained anything or not. But what they remember is that they have to work very hard for it, and they don't know what they got out of it. So they look at any change that is introduced by their management that it is a temporary fire. Some people even call it as an initiative of the month. So this month we are supposed to do this, next month we forget about it. So if this is the atmosphere in any organization, it forces people to resist change. Then many times, it is not clear to the people as to why we should change. It is not communicated. It is not told. Those who are introducing the change, they think that they are explaining, but it may not be clear to the people. So imagine if you are in a situation you are asked to make a change and you don't know why. You are not very clear about it. You are bound to resist it, right? It's not your fault. Then another thing is that those who are introducing the change, people feel that they lack this kind of competence to bring about that change. They are like you and me, okay, anybody else, they don't have any special skills, anything else. So if they are introducing the change, well, it is not going to be successful. This could be perception, but it could be a reality also that some people are chosen to introduce a change and they don't have that change management competence. Well, it can be built. Nobody is born with that, but that is not done. So if that is the case, there will be more and more resistance to change. Most companies have some award system for that. There are some rules are there. Now, when you are introducing a change, nobody looks at the reward system, whether it is consistent with the change or not. So on one side, you are introducing a change, and on other side, there is a reward for not changing. So if that is the case, people will want reward, right? So they will resist the change. Another important thing is that people don't like to come out of their comfort zone. Everything is hanky-dory, fine, working nice, we are doing the thing routinely. Why to go in for change? So that forces them to resist the change. Now, some people are really smart, they are knowledgeable, they are experienced, and they feel that the change that somebody else is introducing, so suppose that person is me, I feel that I'm knowledgeable about it. In my past company, I had done like that. So why I'm not being consulted? Why I'm not a party to introduce this change? It means my management is ignoring me. If that is the case, I'll show them. I'll resist the change. So not being consulted, no, we don't know. It's an organization is large, many people have lots of experience. But if we don't take care of every individual, and if, people might feel offended that you are asking me to follow this. I had done it 100 times. Who are you to tell? And the last is NIH syndrome, not invented here. What is it by not invented here? If we are doing something and somebody comes and shows us a better way of doing it, no, he is an outsider. He is showing me how should I work. Solution is good, but we have not found it, no? So let us resist it. I give a small example of this NIH syndrome. Once I was standing in a queue for an elevator lift. It was about 20-story building. So lift came down, I entered it, I pressed the button for 7th floor, then somebody pressed for 11th floor, somebody for 17th floor, and so on. Then one person entered. He was saying that that button is on, 7th floor button is on. Still, he pressed that 7th floor button. I don't see why. What is the necessity? But no, I have to press my own button. If somebody else has pressed, I have not done that. That is not invented here. Here kind of syndrome, but you may not believe it, but people suffer from these kind of problems, and people mean not somebody else, you and me. Some aspects of this, or some other aspects, some of the other aspects of this, from time to time, for different changes, we are victims of that. We need to understand that. Over and above that, there is something that the change initiators, those who implement the change, the top management does something that actually fuels the resistance. So what are those things? First of all, the change, there is one circular that is sent. It is not, a change is not introduced very proactively. And then when they see the resistance, people just don't say anything. They don't come out in the defense, they don't explain anything. So what is really important, if a change is proposed and if there is a resistance, first of all, you should assume that there will be resistance and you should be ready with your arms and ammunition and proactively address that resistance. So that gives people confidence. But if that is not done, well, that fuels the resistance. Many companies have made this mistake that they are going to do something new, which is dependent on their employees. They want their employees to do that. But it is something great, something big. So what they they call for a press conference or issue a notification to the press, and employees hear it from the media. So we are your people. We should know about it. You should tell us first before going to media. So if this kind of things happen, there is a natural tendency. So that fuels the resistance. Then there is a failure for a compelling, urgent case, for the change. Well, why we should do it now? Can we not do it tomorrow or next week or next month? What is the urgency? That urgency is not impressed upon the people. So that failure happens. That what is the compelling reason that we have to do it now? That is not told. Then somehow we think like computers. That logic. If this is done, then that, then that, then that. So rational argument, rational logic. But people don't. Okay, man is actually a rational animal, we may say, but at the same time, we are emotional people. So the emotions behind the work is ignored, and we only talk logically and in terms of rules and regulations and all that. So that ignoring that and focusing only on rational element fuels the resistance. When you saw the change, you liked it. When you thought of that change, you liked it. So you assume that everybody's reaction also will be like that. That could be one of the biggest blunders, that assuming that everybody is like you and everybody's reaction also will be like that. So if you do that, if that happens, if that is done by the change agents, that fuels resistance. Then there is lack of communication. The biggest problem, single largest problem, if I have to say, what is the single largest problem with the communication? The single largest problem with the communication is the fallacy that it has taken place. People think that they are communicated, but no, it doesn't reach everybody in the same way. There's not enough leadership, there's not any change. It has to be led by somebody. People should look upon that person, that yes, he's the person, he's leading the change. So he's taking the ownership. He probably saying that, okay, let us do it. If something goes wrong, I'm there, don't worry. Now that kind of leadership is not there, then that fuels the resistance. Then different companies have different cultures. So while introducing a change, if we ignore what is the current culture, how does this change will fit into this culture? What we need to do it to fit into this culture? If these thoughts are not applied, then it fuels the resistance. Then in every organization, there is an informal organization. There is a grapevine. If you say that we have a WhatsApp group for all the people in the department, and there is no other WhatsApp group. If you say that, it means there are many more WhatsApp group in your department. Only thing is that you are not part of that. So you have to understand and accept the fact that there is a grapevine, there are informal organizational groups, and you have to grasp and make sure that you make use of them so that it helps to bring about the change. If you fail to do that, it fuels resistance. If we say that these 4 great people will come and say, okay, this is to be done, employees are not involved. They are not encouraged to participate. What will be their natural reaction? Resistance. They are bound to do that. Then, if you don't have the necessary skill and resources, either to introduce the change or to make use of that change, then it will fuel resistance. For example, if you are bringing in new technology and none of you are trained on that, then people say you are bringing it, you are asking us to learn by trial and error. We don't have anybody to just solve our problems. So if that is the case, if there is no skill and resources in the organization, then that will fuel resistance. Sometimes some changes, let us implement this particular thing, and 2 years down the line, we'll start seeing the benefit. Well, this kind of focus only on long term, that could fuel the resistance to change. See, what is really important is that we make small changes and see the benefits actually coming to us. If people see that, they quickly come on the board. But we don't plan that. We look at very long-term thing, and then that if people don't see any immediate success in short-term, near future, in weeks time, or fortnight, or in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, that is going to fail the resistance. Sometimes we go by some wrong measures, some age-old measures that keep coming in. So they could misdirect the people. So if your measurements are wrong, then people are misdirected. Dr. Goddard had said, tell me how you measure me, and I will tell you how I will behave. So if you are using wrong measurements, then behavior will be different and it will resist your change. Sometimes what happens, people get carried away with some initial small success here and there, and then the whole thing fizzles out. So if that happens, people really get angry that we work hard, we got these initial gains, some initial goals are achieved, and now there is nobody to take it forward. So let us not support any kind of change. So that will fuel resistance to change. How much time that I have taken? Oh my, I'm running out of time. I'll have to go a little quickly, I'm sorry, but okay. No, see, there are several layers of resistance. You know, all of you have seen the onion, right? So you peel the topmost layer, there's another layer inside. If you peel out that, there's one more, and so on. Similarly, there are several layers of resistance. So what are they? See, any change that you bring about, there's a problem, there's a solution, and there's an implementation. No, everywhere you will find resistance. In what terms? See, you are an outsider, you are a consultant, and you are going to a company, and you start asking people, start gathering problems. What is the problem you are facing? The first reaction is that problem. What problem you are talking about? We don't have any problem. Everything is fine, hanky dory. Our work is going fantastic. Everything is smooth. Now, this is not the truth, but people somehow don't tell you. So you will have to struggle to find out what the problems are. Once you say that, look, guys, I found out that this is the problem that you people are facing, then there's a disagreement. Now, of course, we have some problem, but this is not the problem. Now, what do? So you again try hard to prove it to them, show them data, show them evidence that this is your problem. Then what do they say? Well, what you say may be right. This could be our problem, but this problem is out of our control. What can we do? Once in a while, one machine goes down and the customer order is delayed. And there's nothing that we can do about it, and so on. So there is a resistance. So you have to break it this three layers and prove it to them that there is a problem and it is very much within your control. And how to solve it? You come up with a solution. So you think that if you have crossed these layers of resistance, life will be easy? No. Then what happens? People are just ready to shoot. Okay, what do you do? First of all, they say that whatever solution that you are talking, no, this kind of solution, this is not a direction, this is not a correct direction of the solution. So there is a disagreement on that. So again, you struggle, you fight, you establish that the direction that you have proposed, direction for the solution is correct. Then they say, okay, the direction could be correct, but the details that you are working out, well, I don't think they are right. So you go down at every level of detail and establish, prove it to them that yes, that is correct. Okay, all the details are correct. But after that, yes, maybe this looks like correct, but this solution has negative ramifications. So you have to like what? He says, supposing you are saying that you will reduce the inventory at the retailer. If you do that, don't you think that he will keep our competitors' products on display? Very valid. So you'll get this kind of negative ramification. This is actually a help for you to make it sure that such negative impacts are taken care of. So again, this is the thing that people keep shooting. Now you have overcome the first three layers about problem, the next three layers about the solution. Can you sit back and relax and say that now the solution will get implemented easily? No. Then there's a yes but. They say we can't implement this solution over here. We are different. This it will work in 100 other companies, maybe, but we are different. We can't implement it here. So you prove it to them again that you can implement this solution, can get implemented here. This is the way it will get implemented. If they don't have any answer, then they say that maybe some details of implementation, first you are doing this and then you want to do this. No, that is not going to work. So again, you have to break your head with them and tell them that it will work. After that, what they say? Oh, but if we do that, there's too much of risk. I don't think we should be taking that risk. So you have to make a risk management plan for them, saying that these are the risks that you identified, these are the risks that we have identified, and this is the mitigation plan if they occur. Now, having done all this, even then, your change may not get implemented. There will still be a resistance. People will still shoot it down by saying, I don't think so. The CEO says that we have done all these things, but I don't think so that this will work. Why he says that, or why people say that? Because there is some unverbalized fear. Now, if you have some fear in your mind and you are not express it, how anybody on the earth can address it? So again, these are the things. They are the 9 layers of resistance that come in the way of introducing any change in your organization. So is there any hope? This is so difficult. There are so many layers of resistance. There are so many reasons for not being implemented change and all that. So does it mean that we just can't implement any solution? Any change? Is it such a hopeless case that nothing can be done about it? I would say yes, of course. There is a solution for this, but unfortunately, the solution part of it is not part of my today's talk. Hold on for a minute. But that does not mean that I can leave that topic untouched. I'll just give you a bird's eye view about the solution part of it, but I'll not be able to get into the details of it. So there is a way. There are several ways to make sure that you are able to overcome the resistance of change by knowing, now that you know why people are resisting the change. So there are ways to overcome it. So you know that. So there are as many as 8 change management tools that are there, which can be used, which have been successfully used. So I'll not get into this because I'm running out of time, because there's some more for me, which is more interesting for you people. So I'll just skip this. What I'm going to talk about is that out of multiple methodologies, there is one methodology which I did not mention there, is the powerful method provided by theory of constraints. It is called thinking process. Thinking process provides tools to overcome the various layers of resistance. So it addresses 3 important questions of change. What are those questions? First is what to change. So what is the problem we are attempting to address? It could be several lists of problems that you will have. Maybe your orders are going late. Maybe there is too much of inventory. There could be a long list of problems. See, if you ask people, at times you find that people are good at bitching and mooning. They can tell you hundreds of problems. So you may have to gather all of them, and TOC provides you with the tools to go through them and find out what is the core problem. And once you have found the core problem, then it won't be very difficult for you to find a solution for that. So the TOC helps you to answer the next question, what to change to. So what is the desired state? What solution is there for this problem? And then how to cause the change and how to implement this solution. So for this, this is what we have seen earlier. On the right hand side, there is a toolbox. There is an evaporating cloud. This helps you to resolve all the conflicts in your organization. There is something called current reality tree, which projects your current problem, connects, identifies various reasons, and boils down to one root cause, one or very few root causes. The advantage is that if there are, say, if you identify some 10 problems and if you try to address them independently, okay, more often than not, more likely is that those problems will reoccur. But by using this tool, if you have boiled down to one or two core problems or core the conflicts, you are in a better position to solve that core problem. And if you solve that core problem, okay, all the symptoms go away. Now, how can you be sure that it will happen? So for that, the TOC provides a tool called Future Reality Tree. So you take that solution and see what are the things that will happen, how they will happen, the logic for that, and then what are the negative things that also could happen. You consider all that. Now, when you go through this process with your people, their buying in starts coming in. And then there are two more tools which actually help you to really implement. So don't worry, there is a way that TOC provides that these are the 5 tools that it provides. If you are able to use them properly, there are far better chances than not to implement your changes successfully. So from the frowning face, from shooting down, people will see happy faces which are willing to accept the change wholeheartedly. Now, all this talk has been from the point of view of change maker. So, but if you are not a change maker, you are one of those who are expected to accept the change and do it the new way. So what will be your psychological reaction, or rather what is the advice for you, what you should be doing so that your life is comfortable? So there is a short video for that. I'll quickly run through that. No, I'll have to change that, right?
Yes, sir.
New share. Are you able to see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so here are we. So what we have done so far, we have seen the resistance of change from two angles. One is from the change makers, those who are introducing the change, how what problems they face, why the things are being resisted, and the advice for those for as to how to receive it, how they can cooperate. Now, what is the criteria for accepting a change? Now, last two slides, so please bear with me. That the change should result in excellent benefits. The benefit should not be very small. If it's a small benefit, it may get wiped out also. Then it should be the win-win-win for all those whose collaboration is required. It should be good for the company, it should be good for employees, for customers, suppliers. Supposing your management introduces a change which is good for the company but not so good for the employees, do you think it will get accepted? No chance. Then the risk multiplied by damage is small relatively to the benefits. Because every change that we bring about, there is some element of risk. But if you look at the benefit, if that is large enough, then even if that risk materializes, the loss, the damage could be minimal. Then, very importantly, it should be the simpler than what we do now. If we are going to do something complex, then it is not going to get accepted, it will be resisted. But if it is simpler, it will be easier for people to accept it. Then the sequence of implementation should be such that people come on board very quickly. If they're able to see the benefits accruing very fast, then less and less of resistance. And the most important thing is the change should not be self-destructing. It means you are bringing about a change, such a change that your business grows and grows and grows. You got so many orders, you get flooded with the orders, and then you are not able to cope, you are not able to deliver, you are late, your quality of your product suffers, and then customers go away and your company shuts down. So it shouldn't be that self-destructive. So these are the criteria defined by Dr. Goldratt for accepting the change. Now the last slide, I think, but what is this WIIFM? What is this? Have I made any mistake? Something wrong? Something wrong got typed out? Not really. This is what's in it for me. This is the advice that if ever you want to bring any change in your company and your family, with your society, with your friends, if you are able to find answer to this question, what's in it for me, for every such individual, you will be successful in changing, bringing about the change. So always when you think of introducing a change, look at this, that what's in it for me, for the other person to accept it. If you are able to show him that, it's not enough to have it, but you should be able to demonstrate. If you are able to show him that, he will readily cooperate with you. In fact, he will be after you to make that change. So with this, I'm sorry I exceeded the time, but I thank you for your time and patience. And if you have any questions, I'll be very happy to answer them. So I'll stop sharing my screen. And I'm back here.
Mangesh?
So any questions?
Yeah, Rajeev sir, thank you very much for the presentation. Most of us have, somewhere in the business journey has attended session on the theory of consent. But let me tell you, this was the most, this was presented in the most simpler language. Most of us will agree in that. Thank you for that. Now we'll open this session for the Q&A. First question, I will request our chairman, Rahul. He has put 2 questions in the chat box.
Hello.
Rahul, you can ask the question.
Yeah, sir, Thank you so much for today's enlightening session. As Mangesh rightly said, it was the most easiest to understand and very much, we could relate to it very easily. So my question to you, sir, is what method or measures would you suggest to make change more acceptable to our team? Just one or two pointers which will help us, change our mindset and accept it with an open mind.
Okay. Here I will I will share the advice given by Dr. Goldrat. He said that never ever give solution to any problem to anybody. Because if you give the solution for my problem, then you have denied me the opportunity of finding that solution myself. So for me, it is your solution, your baby, not okay, my solution. So you should ask me some pertinent questions, which will force me to think and arrive at solution. So it's up to you to ask good questions, right questions, so that you see all of us have brains, we have common sense. So if anything is given to us, we feel that it is being thrust upon those. But that is not the intention. We are trying to help. But then the only advice that I would give, one advice, that don't give the solution right away.
So you want to say, sir, it should be a more of a discussion before coming into the change. We should involve the people who are going to be affected by the change. Is it what that I understand?
In fact, first we have to establish the problem. Unless the problem is established and accepted by everybody, that yes, this is the problem that we are facing, then you will be amazed that people are so creative to find a solution. But without discussing the problem, without getting their agreement, no solution, they will not be able to relate with the problem.
Exactly. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Yes, Mangesh.
Yeah, thank you, Rahul. Rajeev sir, I'll request you to share one or two examples for the benefits of the member, and specifically for two industries. One is the manufacturing and second is the sales industries, wherein you had implemented this TOC.
No, for manufacturing industry, TOC has a solution called drum buffer rope. What it does actually, Dr. Goldrat has observed certain common problems faced by manufacturing industry. What are those problems? The problems are that the orders are going late. There is too much of inventory. So these are the two basic problems that every factory manager wants to overcome. Now, what happens is that why this happen? It is because their normal way of working. So there's a U-turn, or I would say major shift in the thinking. People believe that if we take bigger batches, we get the benefit of mass scale production, or cost will be down. People are tuned to the cost accounting methods, because this is how they have been doing it for years. Now, TOC is very counterintuitive. It challenges not everything, but many things that are being done traditionally. So this is what is being done in manufacturing industry with surprising results. Maybe we can have one session on introducing TOC where I can share more about
Definitely. Sir. Thanks for that. We'll take one more question from our member, Mr. Neil Desai. Neil? Neil is there in this call, na? Neil?
Neil had asked it on the chat box. I don't see him now here. If we can read it.
Okay.
Neil is there.
Yeah,
Neil is there. Yeah.
Neil, please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Rajeev ji, it was certainly a brilliant session. It was very good to understand quite a few things basically that goes on in an organization. One particular thing which pops up in my mind, because normally change comes from the top management and has been to be implemented to the down level in the hierarchy. What if some employee, at a lower management level, or somebody comes up with a brilliant idea? How does this change? How can this change go into the organization till the top level? Will there not be any resistance from the organization top management, because there are people who are thinking in a different level, and something which has popped up from a very small level or lower level management guy?
Yeah.
What happens in such case?
Yeah. I understand. For that also TOC prescribes a way as to how you should propose a change. Because you say you are not just suggesting something out of the blue. You have seen some logic behind that. So you have to start with what problem you are going to solve. Get that again the same change management steps. Everywhere, whomsoever you are talking to, you have to follow the change management steps. And first step is getting agreement on the problem. Otherwise, the solution has no meaning. If I tell you that I have excellent solution for cancer, and I want you to buy that, you say, but I don't have cancer. Why are you asking me? Right? Now, cancer is a very extreme example that I have taken. But maybe for some other disease, conjunctivitis. There has no sign of conjunctivitis. Why should I buy that? So like that, for any solution, there has to be a problem. When the problem is defined in that light, okay, if you show the solution, there is a good chance that it will get accepted.
Okay, thanks, Rajeev.
Thank you.
Yes, Mangesh, any more questions? Or
Rahul, unfortunately, due to paucity of time, will not be able to take more questions. It's already 12:30. But
no problem,
any
no
of the
problem.
participant, if you have any question, I'll request Ram to share mobile number of Rajeev sir on chat box so they can get in touch with Rajeev sir. Over to you, Raj.
Okay. So thanks, Rajeev sir, for such a lucid presentation on how and why people resist change. It's sad, but an extremely real-time challenge that we all face at work and home. We sincerely appreciate your time and effort you took today to take us through this whole process of accepting one thing, that is, change is the only constant. So before the formal vote of thanks, which our member Pinku will present, I would kindly request all the members to please be online for next 2 to 3 minutes. We'll be making the concluding remarks and ending the session. So before the formal vote of thanks, we are happy to announce that after today's refreshing session, we will be having one more session of Rajiv sir on 26th of June on the topic, are you asking the right questions? We will post the details of this to all of you. So thank you, Rajiv sir. Now would I kindly request Pinku to present the formal vote of thanks, and then I will make the concluding remarks, and then we can end the meeting. Yes, over to you, Pinku.
Thanks, Rahul. Rajiv ji, I'm trying to find the right word because the presentation was so excellent. I have read Dr. Eliyahu Goldratt's book and Stephen Covey's book, The Goal and the Theory of Constraint and Necessary but Not Sufficient, because I have been in this or the IT industry since '99, and these are the books are very, very important. So those 3-4 books which I read, and you explained this such a complex subject in a very simple, lucid way, and for me, giving a methodology in this slide. I mean, those books are really nice, Dr. Eliyahu Goldratt and Stephen Covey, but for us, you are Dr. Eliyahu Goldratt, I would say.
I think that is too much. I'm sorry.
Very well said.
Telling you, I mean, it's nothing to make you happy, but I'm really touched the way you explain. It's just a complex subject because the change management, I have done implementation from Mexico to Australia, almost 25 countries, and day in, day out, it's new technology. I have implemented from 99 to this period. I mean, people have always tried to stop the implementations because they have always fear. The top management doesn't understand, as you rightly said, that the world is doing, so they want to do it without understanding that one is the IT technology change management and one is the soft aspect, the change management department, but they never understood. Now people understand. So I've gone through, I've seen it very closely. If I say the memory lane, I mean, every slide it gives excellent. I mean, start with the hypothesis, people resistance why, or the win-win. I mean, I always say that win-win, it's a good way of doing it. But today I got insight that win-win is not the only way of doing it. It's totally different paradigm shift which you gave today. The Kubler-Ross model, the chart, I'm a technical chartist also. I mean, when you start the change, it start with shock, denial, and then come to a depression. So the moral is bottom, and then again it picks up. So it's very simple way you have explained these things, and I'm very thankful, and I'm sure the other 10 members you have given how to identify the constraint and how to achieve the goal after identifying the constraint, and then systematically improving those constraints until it's no longer a limiting factor, if I say in summary way. So hats off to you. Thank you very much, and thanks to Tan Mangesh, thanks for giving me this opportunity for vote of thanks. I am really touched, and I am follow you, Rajiv ji, wherever you are. Thank you very much. I would say with folded hands. Yeah.
Well, okay, I'm also thankful to you for your kind words. I think you exaggerated a lot. I'm nowhere near Dr. Golrat. I'm his disciple. I'm a student of theory of constraints. And another thing that I would like to thank your organization, the Entrepreneurs Network 10, for giving me this opportunity to talk to people in your Pocket Network. I enjoyed sharing this knowledge with all of you. So thanks, and I look forward for the next Saturday session. It's about the art of asking right questions. So it could be hopefully another interesting thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And thanks, Pinku. I don't think there would have been any better person than you for this vote of thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. So for the concluding remarks now, just one more minute. So friends, what we saw today is what 10 members or not what's happening in the industry, support to any operational problem that is beyond our domain expertise, opportunity to learn from and mentor fellow entrepreneurs. An added benefit is a chance to attract a lot of more business. So who should join 10 and why? Budding or established entrepreneurs are welcome to join 10. 10 is committed to support, promote and develop entrepreneurs, and our activities are focused on building the entrepreneurial community. So please take a call on becoming a part of 10. Due to COVID situation, our physical meetings are not yet started. So we have revised the fees from 15,000 to 10,000 this time, and a one-time registration fees of 2,000 rupees. So kindly make use of this opportunity to get connected to us. So thank you all for attending this session and making a positive contribution to the meeting. We end this meeting, and thank you all of you. Thank you, Rajeev sir.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.